Hi everyone, this is the bit we do before we go live. Yeah, so we're going to be getting ready to do. It's Hot House. It's July. I know that everybody is on holiday, but you know what? We carry on because PMO never stops. Shall we do another session? Do you think? Yeah.
Oh, yes, why not?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay. All right. Let's get on with it then. Hello, hello, hello. Hi everyone. The people that are not on holiday this week. It's good to see that there's still somebody at the helm looking after PMOs when everybody else is on the beach. It's another hot house. It is summer in the Northern Hemisphere. It is July. Shall we get on with it? It is indeed whoosh, 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 all that heat. We're here, July. We've got John in London. Hi, John.
Oh,
Hello. And we've got Eileen, and Eileen is on the other side of the world, upside down. Eileen, where are you
I am
today?
indeed. I'm in the not so sunny Melbourne. It's pitch black at night time. We're just hitting 10 o'clock.
Right, okay. Well, hopefully the sun will come back up for you tomorrow, because otherwise that'd be miserable. Let's crack on, shall we? It's a busy episode.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
It is extra extra. This is the bit where we just have a look at some of the latest news is that would be that's out and about there in the world. And over to the lovely John. John, how are you? Do you want to take it away?
I am fabulous. Hello, everyone. Lots of news as ever. I've been reading papers, some interesting, some not so interesting, and we've kind of filtered it down to the things that are probably the important and fun ones for you to take a look at. Starting off with a simple question: what's in your portfolio pipeline? And I say that because it's something we normally have a lot of problems with pulling it together, getting a clear view of not only what the live projects are looking like, but also what everyone is planning or intending to do over the next quarter, the next year, the next 3 years. People tend to struggle beyond that, which is why it's really, really impressive that the National Infrastructure and Service Transformation Authority, who knew that was a thing, have published their pipeline of infrastructure projects for the UK, aiming to go out 10 years. So this is online. It is fully searchable. I shall share the link with you all shortly, or you can just Google it with keywords and I'm sure you'll find it. But basically, this is a list of all the projects that they are aware of that are running, public and private. So it's got all the water companies and everything in there. You can play around and click on your region to see what projects are expected in your region and whether, and they've got 649 projects in there so far. And of those, there's some of them don't have any detail at all, particularly some of the far off ones. But a lot of them have expenditure metrics on there, what the capex spend is going to be like. And if you squint, I'll put on screen there, you can just about see for some of them, certainly the public ones, there's information on there about what the project is and who to contact for more information, which is either having clicked through it, there's either an email address there to contact, or there's a website if the project's got a dedicated website there. So there's some inspiration there for some of you that are struggling to pull those kind of views together for in Power BI in your organizations for what projects look like. This is a great example of government doing it over a much wider area, over a much longer period of time to give that forward view for everyone there. It's also worth just taking a click through, looking at their introduction, explaining why they're doing it, and the methodology they're following to create it as well. Hopefully that gives you some inspiration to try and do something similar for your organizations, allowing people to see what the longer term looks like, what we want to do, what the aspirations are, and people can start thinking about how those projects might impact different areas, how new things they'd like to do might trip over other projects in the future. So really, really nice to see that information out there in public. A lot of people will be looking at what's happening in their area, but for us project people, we'll be looking at this as inspiration. How can we emulate this in our organizations to give people greater transparency and enable decision making? Right, I'll share the link afterwards. Let's move on to the next slide. Extra, read all about it. IT projects are risky.
That's not news.
I'm not feeling much excitement about this deep insight. But what's great about this one is there has actually been some research backing this one up. So if you just jump onto the next slide for us, Lindsay. This is an absolutely amazing paper from Bent, Oxford, and many others who've come together to pull this together. They've done research. It's over 1,000 projects have been looked at, so it's quite a broad study, and they've got evidence in there now that IT projects are uniquely risky. They've gone through 23 different categories of projects. IT was the only one that where they looked at cost overruns, they couldn't actually pin down sort of stick significantly on the long tail of those what those look like and come up with sort of average times. Everything else they could. IT projects are special in so many ways, so they're uniquely risky. The fat tail danger, and basically when you sort of look at a distribution curve there, you've got that big tail out there. 1 in 5 IT projects were blowing past their budgets by over 50%. And when they do go bad, they go bad really badly. So this one and the bullet underneath it kind of tied together really. So not all IT projects overrun. 41% were overrunning, which is actually better than a lot of other sectors, to be fair. But when they do overrun, they go crazy over. So we were seeing that when they do overrun, blowing budgets, those 1 in 5, I think it was 18% of projects overrunning. The average overrun time for those 18% that overrun past their budgets was 453%, or 5.5 times the original estimate.
Oh.
And this is why IT projects are so scary. If it's on time, great, and a lot of them are on time, but when they go bad very dramatically. And
John, does it say anything about the delivery framework? So is it less of a problem if they do agile than the old kind of standard waterfall, or does it not mention it?
that's not what this one was about. So they've not gone into that in here, but it would be an interesting sort of further look. I agree with you. If you can just click on the next one, on there for us, Eileen, just for a second. This gives a sort of sense of the level of risk compared with some other areas there, and IT massively more prone to those sort of cost overruns when compared with other areas that we would deem very high risk. It just puts those kind of projects into perspective. And I'm hoping this is helpful for those of you that have IT portfolios or IT in your portfolio, where you have those conversations that I'm sure we've all had with people in the organization, where people sort of just don't quite understand the inherent risk with some of the work we do with projects in the IT space, and therefore how much contingency you need around them, and how important it is not to pile projects on project in the IT space. In terms of why this goes wrong, it does dive into that in the paper as well, noting some of these sort of fairly things that we know about that are quite common. So if you compare with construction, for example, there's literally millennia of experience with doing construction projects, whereas tech is still very new to us all in terms of sort of decades of experience rather than thousands of years of experience. There's a lot of things that are very intangible in there now, because we're building on technology that is constantly changing, and there's layers and layers of it. But also with that one, they separated out goal ambiguity from general intangibility there. So goals tend to be less clear in the IT space, and that's not necessarily people doing things wrong, but it is genuinely hard to get that ambiguity there. People are defining what they want. We want to put this technology in, and a lot of the time, certainly if you're working with agile methods and things like that, well, you know you want to make things better by putting a new ERP system in, for example, but you're quite until you get started on that and get a real sense of how long it's going to take you to put in, you can't be entirely clear on what different features you want to add into that tool, how many projects you want to get working on it, how many improvements you want to make. So it's a lot harder to get to that goal ambiguity, those goals tied down. And you think about the conversations you often have, it often tends to be a very, very two-way conversation where you've got what the business would like from the project, but they also want information from the IT side of things about what capabilities are there that they might not have thought of. There was always that it's a real challenge to sort of get that balance right, looking at what the technology can bring in that the sponsors haven't thought of versus what the sponsor wants, and get a balance of that stuff. So goal ambiguity is a common problem. The other ones there, it's optimism bias is a big one, and also the fact that we're more often than not we're combining tech and social. It's very rare that an IT project is purely around technology. We're making social changes as well. We're changing the way people are working, the way people are communicating, the way they're engaging. This is the change management side of things. It is always a big factor. It's not just about the technology. You're doing a technology and a social change program all at the same time. So a lot of those reasons in there on why these are inherently risky.
Do you think it'd be quite cool if you're the PMO that you work in IT projects at the minute, that you came into one of your next meetings with stakeholders or project manager or whatever and talked to them about, have you seen the latest research on this?
I would absolutely encourage people to do that, because it's a great bit of research. It's something we've all known and felt for a while, and it gets challenged a lot, though. People eye rolling, saying, well, it's not that it's not that risky, this is not that hard. Yes, it might be new to us, but other people have done this before. All those kind of normal arguments that we get back. And what you've actually got here is research-based evidence from people at Oxford Science. So it's credible resource stuff. It covers a wide range of projects, and it gives you that insight and justification for actually explaining and articulating that it's not just us, it's not challenges that are unique to us. IT projects are inherently risky, and we need to plan for that and factor that into what we're doing.
I like that line, riskier than nuclear waste.
Absolutely. And the
That
last
should
one,
be on a t-shirt.
yeah. The last one there is that there's a little bit in there. There's not much in there about how to solve it, but the last bit in there is probably an important one. Their guidance is, wherever possible, break your IT or technology projects down into as smaller chunks as you can. Take time up front to make the big calls around things, and then look at how you can slice things down. The smaller you break those projects down, the easier it is to fit things into people's heads, and the greater chance you've got of success on those.
Yeah.
So that's sort of key guidance for that as well. But there's lots of gems in that one, and it's well worth a read.
Excellent. And will you be able to give us the link?
Link incoming in the chat as soon as we're done.
Oh no, hybrid's not working.
Hybrid's not working. Another one that people sort of have kind of felt for a little while, I think. And again, some research with some interesting takeaways. So this one's from Harvard Business Review. It's I'll share the link to this one for you shortly. But again, they've done a lot of research, speaking to a lot of organizations about how agile, how this hybrid way of working is working for them or not, and what they're coming back with. And it just goes on for paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of all the ways it is not working. It's hurting team collaboration, it's isolating employees, new hires really struggle with it, it weakens company culture, it's impacting people's ability to learn from their peers and develop themselves, it's resulting in the wrong people being promoted. There's the list goes on and on and on in the article about it. It does mandate having deliberate strategies to improve communication, and this is where I think PMOs can play a big part in this. It's not enough to just assume it will communication will happen. And I think it's interesting, we did I think 10 years or so ago, we were probably doing more, my sort of sense of it, and let me know in the comments if you disagree, but I think we were doing more around putting more effort into communication on projects than we do now. There was a lot of effort to do team building, do team bonding, get people communicating. And I know I roll about it nowadays, but this idea of having sort of icebreakers and all of those kind of things, those kind of forced engagement over silly sort of scenarios. And I know those sort of those were less popular, but we seem to have almost gone the other way. And we don't. I think we actually put less effort into building teams and getting people communicating effectively now than we used to, despite us all being hybrid and remote. It's quite an interesting one, but it's emphasizing here that we should have deliberate strategies for communication. Don't just assume it will happen. There's one down there which I know is controversial for some people, but creating and enforcing rules for virtual meetings, and the view they sort of picked up in there are very simple: cameras on or don't attend the meeting. And actually having people enforce that in meetings. If your camera's on, if you're not prepared to be camera on, then you shouldn't be in the meeting. Full stop. Was a very militant approach on that one there, and holding to that line on that one. Limiting attendees is probably one that's more general across other types of meetings as well. So there was some advice in there for virtual meetings and general rules for engagement as well. So they suggested designated hours every day when people are explicitly available and open to people communicating with them. Tracking attendance and engagement. I work with, I was speaking to someone recently who had discovered that one of their team was in LA and working from there, and they hadn't noticed, and they've been there for a year. So things like that happening, tracking attendance in the office, but also people being online for things, and having a think about KPIs that are tracked for line managers, tracking things that you then take forwards into performance reviews, measuring engagement, response times, and response to people sending emergent requests, those kind of things, but also measuring things like how they're helping new hires and bringing people up around them as well. So there's quite a few sort of bits in there that's some interesting takeaways. And whilst it's aimed at corporates in general, as always, as PMO people, we can look at this through the lens of the PMO, thinking about how we can bring some of these things in to support the project managers, creating their own environments, controlled environments, to help them deliver more effectively as well. And the PMO can be the sort of the strong arm there, sort of providing that consistency and standardization, and helping project managers get those things enforced for their good going forwards for their projects and their organizations. I think those were that was the big ones for me. There was some future ones in there, so I'll share those links.
Yeah, that's
the
some
IT
really
one is well worth a look, I think.
Yeah, I think we've been chitty-chatting away. You can have a look at some of those. One of them that Sarah's just reminded people about Viva Insights. Do you use it? It's a thing on Teams, isn't it? The kind of it tells you metrics and things like that. She was saying it's a great measure on not multitasking during meetings. I do have it switched on, but I do find it quite annoying because it's always telling me to prep for the next meeting. Like it's just like flashing up and stuff all the time. But maybe that's just me.
What's Viva, Lindsay?
It's a Teams Microsoft thing. You know, like they keep shoving this stuff at you. You'll be able to. I can't even remember how I turned it on. Is anybody else using it?
It's an app in Teams, so you just add it as an app, and I don't get alerts from it, so I'm now jealous, Lindsay, because I don't get alerts. But it's good to look every time. It tells you who you work with and those measures. So it gives you productivity ideas, but also how to step back ideas.
Yeah.
Perhaps you don't need any, Sarah. Perhaps you're already working at prime productivity.
No, she's not, because she's just she's multitasking when she's in meetings, so that's naughty.
No, I'm not multitasking.
Oh, you're not? You're not?
I'm not, but I
that's
do.
What you said. It's not giving her.
It right.
That's what I'm saying. It's not giving a hint anymore. I'm saying that that's because she's suspect she's doing everything correctly.
Right. So the robot spoke.
Not in a month of Sundays.
Very good. Well, there you go. There's something else for you to take a look at. Right, let's go and have a look at what's going on. Well, we know where somebody is right now. Eileen, you're in the dark in Melbourne. What are you doing?
It is. And that picture I took one of the mornings this week. So I've got a nice a little apartment that they've got for me, and I can look up the river, and that's what I see about 7:30 in the morning. So I'm actually doing some training over here. If you go over the next slide, into just a little strip will come on the bottom. There's a client in Australia who has taken the decision that they want all of their PMO staff trained up in the House of PMO Essentials. So reluctantly not. We came over to start the training. So I had a group of analysts this week, so 5-day course, and I've got a group of managers next day with a 3-day course. And I just thought it was quite interesting in terms of, well, first thing, I use the word quite interesting every sentence. Every time I start a subject, it's quite interesting. So I'm going to have to increase my vocabulary. So it's intriguing to see that they generally have a picture of all of the PMOs across their organisation, but not a single analyst on the course had heard of a service-based catalogue. So I'm really interested in waiting to see the managers next week to see whether it's just this organisation and they haven't got anything on there at all, and whether it's a whole new concept, because I think over in the certainly in the UK and Europe and America, this service-based version of PMOs seems to have sorted. So
What
an
industry is
interesting
it?
couple of weeks. Pardon?
What industry are we talking?
Defence.
Right. Okay.
And the analysts were definitely thinking it would be really good to have a defined role where people actually understood what we did and we were given the time to do a good job of the things that we were actually meant to do. So they're absolutely up for a service-based catalogue approach. So we shall see, we shall keep up the conversations.
Excellent. Okay. And then that's not all. You take...
Well, indeed. So well, it seemed rude to come all the way over to Melbourne and not pop over to Auckland and see my brother. So I'm going over to see my brother for 10 days. And the idea was to have a holiday, because that's what you do when you go away, apparently. But I thought, well, we may as well take PMO Flash Mob on tour. So we just got in touch with some people over in Auckland. Lindsay didn't do this in Spain, but I just thought we would go over there and see whether we could get some people up to talk about PMO. So we're doing it in conjunction at the PMI, we're doing it at the University of Auckland, and we're going to talk about the competency framework again, just to kind of see where they are with the competency framework and have a chat about what they think about PMO. So I'll be able to report back and tell you the Auckland view of PMOs in a couple of weeks' time.
I would like to know whether here in the UK, are we behind? Are we a little bit in front? We'll be interested to know, won't we?
Let me tell you now, Australia and New Zealand were always about 10 years ahead, just generally on all things, and they admit that as well, generally. So, but I'm interested to see what their thinking is and where they are with PMO. So looking forward to that in a couple of weeks' time.
Okay, super. And John's been out and about, haven't you, John?
I have indeed, yeah. Not the travel time wasn't quite the same. It was a 20 minutes on Southeastern Rail rather than sort of 26 hours on a plane, or whatever it was for you, Eileen. Yeah, we did a flash mob in London, which was fantastic. The weather was nice, so we were outdoors in the sunshine. We had some nice wooden tables outside. We had lots of food, which was fabulous, and really good chats. This was quite a loosely structured sort of bar and social night. So we kind of got together. We had a few questions, as you can see on the sort of image there, a few sort of questions to sort of get conversations going. And it was just lovely to get together with like-minded PMO people from different organizations, just coming together. A lot of them for the first time had never been to a flash mob before, and just chatting and exploring some of those things that we have in common as PMO people. And I think that's sort of quite important for PMOs where you're a PMO of one, the poos out there, and even the bigger PMO teams where you sort of often feel you're in this unique position where you've got the delivery on one side of you, the business on the other side of you, and you're kind of in the middle constantly translating. So actually just being able to get together with people who kind of get it and share the same challenges, I think is quite powerful. So it wasn't a big presentation at this one. It was just a lot of those sort of very, very conversational. There were a few other things that we talked about there on screen. So using AI was talked about, and there were a few things there that there was a real mix of sort of things. People who weren't allowed to use AI at all at work, to those who actually had some policies around it and it was explicitly allowed. But we noticed that people using Copilot for summarizing meetings, saving hours on that, and people just being able to sort of moving from creating formal minutes to actually, for a lot of meetings, it being perfectly okay to share the automated summaries of those in the chat in Teams, and that was enough for people, which saved a lot of time of that sort of admin stuff that used to happen in a lot of those PMOs. Very good for Excel help as well, was another one just to highlight there for people as well. And also for BI help was mentioned as well. ChatGPT, people using that for sort of writing VBA, supporting business case writing, obviously not getting it to write your business cases for you, but certainly helping with that and helping you think about risks and those kind of things, different alternative viewpoints, creating project handbooks customized for organizations. So this was someone who used it to take sort of standard ways of doing projects, but actually wanted to build some how-tos out for their organization that were custom to them. So it's a bit of refining and adjusting it, but getting it to write some of that text for them and explain it and put it into simple language. I found it really, really useful. Creating test data for projects and creating template structures that then could be taken and used as standards are all things that people have found those useful for. If anyone's got any other things, do feel free to add them in chat. I'm always up for interesting use cases for specifically for the PMO. Another question we asked was about keeping stakeholders engaged. Regular cadence of all hands calls was seen as quite a useful one, with questionnaires and polls and things to keep everyone engaged. There's a lot of talk about this idea of sort of, we know what's best for you mindset. So being sure to sort of check in regularly with your stakeholders, understanding what their pain points are for senior people, what information they need to make informed decisions. Those kind of things were really key ones, I think. So there's a really good chat around that. And there was loads of stuff throughout the evening as well. There was we had a whole section on sort of project sort of translator for project speak into exec speak, advice that you would give to yourself if you're able to go back in time and talk to yourself at the start of your sort of PMO career. We talked about mantras that keep you sane at the end of the month, and there was loads more there, but for that kind of stuff you really had to be there. So I'd encourage you all to just keep an eye out on the events page, and as these are coming up, I know we're planning one for September, October, and I know there's been quite a few around the country, so keep an eye out. If there is one near you, do go along, because it's great to catch up with everyone and just mingle with like-minded PMO people.
Yes, excellent. I mean, there is loads of stuff coming up, and we're just right in the middle of planning all of it, and yeah, we miss them too. So yeah, it's definitely more of it.
Well, and this year we're doing a lot more, aren't we, Lindsay? I think as I put in the chat, it's taken till this year for people to start to want to come back out again. And I don't know whether people have just realised and I kind of think, well, actually, we have missed it, and it's worth making the effort to get out the house to go.
Yeah, and don't just do it when you're looking for a job, because you do get people like that. You should keep coming because it has more of a benefit. But yeah, I get it if you're out and about because you're needing to secure your next role or whatever. But please do come along. It's good for that as well, but also it's good for ongoing career networking and stuff like that. But anyway, we didn't need to tell you that. You're here. You've turned up for HotHouse as well. That's all part of it. You can still do networking online. I mean, look at us all chitty chatting away. Okay, let's move on to the next bit. Like Pirates of the Caribbean, it's not quite. It's a new tool alert that I learned about this week, and it's fantastic. And so I thought I'd better share it with you. So I've snuck this section in because we weren't going to do this. But has anybody else come across Napkin? Have you heard of Napkin? napkin. It's amazing. It's in fact it is only out this year, and I think it's quite new, and it's still in beta. This is just another one of these things that if you're going. I've been listening to some really interesting AI based sessions recently for intro sessions, just so see if we can learn something that we can bring back to the community. And this was one of the things that somebody shared. So what I want to do, I just want to show you it just really quickly, and I don't really do demos, so this could be diabolical in trying to like share the right kind of screens and all the rest of it. But napkin, right, here we go. What it is, and the reason why it's called napkin, if you're like out and about and you get a really good idea that you want to just make a note of, and you don't have a notepad or whatever, you put it on a piece of paper or a napkin if you're in a restaurant. That's where they've got the name from. But essentially what it is, so what I've done, some of the sessions that we do. So this one here is the latest one in the library, PMO ecosystem, brilliant session from the conference from Libby from AWE. And what it allows you to do is to do diagrams. Yeah, so if you're looking at like any kind of stuff, you could put in this, you could put in your data, you could put in a document, you could put in a business case, whatever it might be. And what you can do, I'm going to show you it, is that say these are 4 main points from that session. A little button here. Look at this sparkly little thing that it's doing, like up in the, I think it's supposed to be one of those things that it's going off into the cloud to do some work. So I made 4 points in this session that, and Libby's talked, and she was talking about portfolio management and what it's doing and what it will do. And hopefully very quickly, well, I'm going to be gutted because oh, here we go. Fantastic. What it does, it goes away and it gives you some ideas on how you might want to think about stylizing some of your data. Yeah, so it's just really, really like interesting how it does it all. It comes up with a load of different varieties. So what it's not done is come up with the different types of things that it could come up with. But it comes up with like if you're going to put in data, for example, it'll come up with different kind of graphical interpretations of it. A bar graph, pie chart, whatever it might be, so you can see some of the different types of things that it's all built in to do. Yeah. So essentially, you can just come up with a diagram. So this is our this one here is our latest Inside PMO report. So if I wanted to, here we've got an original circle that we did. If I wanted to just take that, let's see if it'll do something a little bit simpler. But I've been playing around with it since I found out about it yesterday, and I am really, really impressed with this. This is a nice tool that even if it may or may not
It
be.
feels like it's like generate your own smart art.
It is. Isn't that just fantastic? So it's coming up with different ideas of how you might want to here we go. These are the different kind of stylizations. There you go. So it can come up with different ways of well, how would you like to represent this? We can do it in lots of different ways. There you go. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that
You
just
know,
and
does anybody know any graphic designers? Because their job has really been impacted by all of this, isn't it?
hasn't it just? But yeah, I mean, can you imagine like just running some stuff through this? Whether you're allowed to use this kind of stuff at work or not, there's nothing to stop you from playing with some of this stuff at home. It's just to give you ideas in your day-to-day work. But look how easy some of this stuff is. It's just, it's mind-blowing where this stuff's going to be by the end of the year. But isn't it cool?
Yeah.
I like napkin a lot. Yeah, I just wanted to share it with you because like I said, I've been involved in a couple of sessions. I'm probably going to learn something from another session that happens next week. And if there's something gorgeous coming up on that, I'll also share.
There was a guy on the news this week, and I don't know what news program I was using, and he reckons that we're not hyping AI up enough
No,
because it'll just be so big and how it changes our life.
yes, I think so. Anyway, but it's little things like that that excite me. Hopefully it excited you too. Otherwise it's just me geeking out, which is fine, I can do what I want because it's
Lindsay, you're sharing the wrong screen.
you what, sorry? I'm sharing the
Sharing the wrong screen, Les.
Oh no.
Uh-oh, uh-oh.
Okay, all right. So let me go back. Can I do that jingle again? Because we're running out of time.
Absolutely.
We thought we might have a lot of time today because it's the summer, but actually, like anything, we come out with, you know, it's been created in a Sora. If anybody's familiar with that, ChatGPT, they're now going great guns with creating short video things. So I asked it to just do a summer quiz that looked like it was on a TV. So there you go. That's what it came up with. But we were going to do a bigger quiz. We've got just 10 minutes left. But so I'm not going to do all of it. But I will go with the first bit to make it easy, right? So it's our favourites, but I wondered if we might be able to just join in. It's the summer. Let's just, the novelty of sometimes of working in this space. An acronym buster. Now, I want to know if you know the answer to this, because this is one of my biggest bugbears. We'll start off with a really easy one, and then I'm going to skip the rest of the easy ones and go into some of the hard ones in the time that we've got allowed. So, acronym buster. Right, come on, all you PMO people. What does that stand for? Get into chat while I muck about with my slides so I can then just get rid of all the other bits that we're not going to use.
Was
What
there
is
not
it?
another one about punctures and something about emissions?
Did you mean?
There was a great somebody did it about something about obnoxious. Did it not have one for emissions? I can't remember what it was called. I'll go and find it.
It is spelling mistakes as well. But no, you're right. It's projects in a controlled environment. And there's so many people that don't know what it was because it's just, you may have come into project management, not that long ago and just always known as it as being that. The other thing that really annoys me is when people do it in a lower case because it is an acronym. So you see it a lot, and it does really annoy me. But it is an acronym, and just while I'm sorting out the decks, what about this one? And do you get it the right way around? So this is right up your street because it is obviously to do with PMOs. But which way round is it? What does it stand for? Do you know? And then I'm going to go on with an hard question, believe me.
Because I don't even get it around in the right way round.
What you wrote it?
I know, but I have a preference, and I also like lows and Zs and Axelos have their own preferences.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Have we got anybody right? Well, so there you go, Sarah. So you're the one that's taking part. Excellent. Thank you very much. It is indeed portfolio first, but I always seem to think that it should go the other way. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do then, I'm going to get a little bit harder. Okay. Because these are going to be easy. I mean, everybody knows what RAID is. Yeah. Everybody knows what VUCA is. Yeah. What about the RACI? I bet you know all of those because those are all dead easy. Yeah. So let's look at ones that are perhaps just a little bit harder and see how you get on with these. So what we're going to do is look at, we're 6 months in. It's time flies, doesn't it? But yeah, 2025, we are 6 months in. So let's just see whether any of you can have again, fast this finger first or come off mute. Some of these are a little bit longer, but this come from not that long ago. What lesson does the Cobra effect teach us about solving problems in organizations? This came from the PMO Learn session that we had in London. I wonder, even if you weren't there, how many people might have heard of the Cobra effect. But here is we'll make it a little bit easier, the multiple choice. So is it always use incentives to improve outcomes? The best way to solve a problem is quickly and simply. Solutions can backfire if we don't understand the whole system, and you can't control everything, so don't try.
Muzak.
Yeah, I know, it's lovely, isn't it? I've really gone to town. It's because we did the sessions earlier on in the week about the summer series about presentations. You probably noticed that you were looking at the morph effects as we move from slide to slide. It is C. Do you know what it is? Can anybody remember, or does anybody want to come off mute and tell us what the Cobra effect is? I love stuff like this. I
This
love
is
it. It's all about unintended consequences.
this is the British Army thing, isn't it? Where they gave a bounty, the brought too many snakes, so they gave the locals the local populace a payment for any dead cobras they brought in, and the result was the cobras increased because what everyone did was started breeding them for profit. Is that pretty much it? That was the one, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. And do you know what's really lovely about, I mean, I love the kind of unintended consequences type situations like that. But I think things like this are always good, is if maybe as us as PMO people, and coming back to the session we've been doing about presentation skills and thinking about how we can present content, surely we should have probably a few of these up our sleeve because they're great stories, aren't they, that can be highlighting some of the probably some of the things that we need to stakeholders or in steering committees or whatever our meetings might be. And I think to have a few of these in your back pocket to be able to highlight stuff, I think are really nice. But yeah, I think I do like an unintended consequence type situation, and I'd love to do a whole session on them, to be honest, because I think they're really lovely little nice nuggets that really memorable. But maybe that's one we could think about doing if we as we think about what we're doing for the calendar effect. So this comes from a HotHouse session that we did. What was an AI agent? Any clues on this one? AI agents. There you go. There's the morph effect. So with this one, we've got, is it a virtual project sponsor? Is it a smart semi-autonomous system? Is it a robot that can write? Or is it an advanced AI chatbot with emotion? I like that, John. Share. That's lovely. You like the music, I'm really chuffed with myself when I go to work on PowerPoint properly. Okay, so indeed, it's probably quite easy really when you've got the multiple choices. Yeah, we went into this session in March, so if you're interested, we did talk about how AI agents can be utilized in PMO, essentially digital assistants for smart automation, but you'll be able to utilize in the PMO, whether it be now or in the future. So yeah, really interesting stuff that's coming out all over that space, and we'll continue to bring it to you. This was a session again back into the hot house. We had Steve Jenner join us in the hot seat, talking about the new book that he's put out around portfolio management. So some good practice there to have a look at. So which of the following best reflects Steve's definition of effective portfolio management? What do you think? We've got prioritization based on relationships and speed, delivering with minimal conflicts, making deliberate choices, or ensuring each department gets is indeed making deliberate choices. He was very adamant about that, about disciplined prioritization, grounded in evidence, risk, and strategic alignment. Again, we did that session not that long ago, and Eileen, you put him in the hot seat. So yeah, you say want it to be A, but unfortunately not. Okay, brilliant. You're doing well. Aren't they so easy, really, when I give you the maybe I shouldn't give you the multiple choice and see how well you do. According to International PMO Day session that we did, we talked about success in PMOs. You can go back and look at that, which was at the beginning of May. So when can a PMO truly claim to be successful? Is yes, when it has cake, absolutely. Or is it any of these? What do we think? I love all the different answers. No, it is actually based on what you said, Eileen, was D. through the lens of the organization. That's how the success must be defined, really. From it only succeeds if it contributes to agreed organizational aims. Do you agree or disagree now, Eileen? You change your
No,
mind?
it's just yes, no. I think that's how our success is measured.
Yes. Yeah. And then finally, just to squeeze one more in, we did our first face to face in Edinburgh for a while earlier on this year, which was brilliant. So what about this one? According to us, when we were talking about best practice, what does it actually mean? Which one is it? What do you reckon?
I'm too busy dancing.
It is indeed and that session is in the library. We were talking about it, best practice not being static, and you were being very adamant about that, Eileen, throughout that session, about best practice being shaped by culture, maturity, and business needs. It emphasised adapting rather than blindly adopting, which is what I think probably, early days PMOs who probably did. But again, it's just always good when we're utilising the word best practice, because I think we use it quite a bit. But
It was
actually,
I'll just give an example today. We did an exercise around what we would do in a certain project situation, and the delegates on the course went straight into what the textbook said. And then you just ask them one or two questions, you go, no, it probably wouldn't work on that project. I said, well, why would you advise it? Because their starting point is always actually that's best practice. That's what the textbook says. And it was really interesting lesson.
so you'll be able to see that one in the library. So, you're doing okay. It's good to see that you're coming along to House of PMO events. You're learning and you're remembering. So hopefully you'll come along to some of the next ones. We've said already that we've got, Eileen's over in Auckland. So if you want to pop over there, you're more than welcome. Obviously we're doing busy planning for Edinburgh. We will be starting to release the keynotes in the beginning of August, and we've also got our next face to face. If you're anywhere near Scotland, Tanya actually works for these, and she's not even going to be there. But if you are and you want to come and have a look and do something that we've not done before, we're going to have a look around the campus, and then we're going to find out from the PMO what they've done in order to be able to support the regeneration stuff that went on at the university. So really nice to be able to actually see something. So that's it from me. So from you, John, you say goodbye. And Eileen, do you want to say goodbye?
But I'm going to go and find my napkin.
Yes, go and play with that.
And Viva, I've taken lots of notes tonight.
I know. Well, there you go. Happy playing. And see you soon, John. Yes.
Absolutely. See you very, very soon. And see you back in the UK sometime soon as well, Eileen.
Well,
Brilliant.
not too soon.
We'll see you next month, and who knows what we're going to be doing then, but we will have worked it out by then. Take care. Bye.
See you, everyone.
Woo! Stop. Yeah. And we need to stop the live stream. See, this is what happens when